Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to start. Hey guys, what's up? This is Phoebe.
And this is Mike.
You're listening to the Mike and Phebe Show, and in today's episode of the Meet the Candidates series, we're talking to Eric Anthony Devezin, a candidate for the San Jacinto City Council member. Welcome, Eric.
Yeah, welcome.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and thank you for reaching out. I'm so glad that you did. You found us on social media. I think it was on Instagram on one of our shared posts for, I think it was Hemet City Council or
San Jacinto?
San Jacinto, possibly. Yeah, and you reached out and we made this podcast happen. I'm so happy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you know what? I'm happy to be here, and I follow you guys on social media, and I love what you are doing as well. So thank you again for this conversation. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you. That's a very nice compliment. So Eric Anthony Devezin, he is an independent and nonpartisan candidate. He is excited to announce his campaign for the San Jacinto City Council. With a public service background and a Master of Public Administration student at the University of La Verne, Eric is ready to bring fresh perspectives and innovative solutions to the council. His commitment to public service is evident through his volunteer work as a court-appointed special advocate with Voices for Children, where he stands up for the safety and well-being of children in the community. Eric's dedication in the community is further demonstrated by his work on the IHSS Advisory Committee for Riverside County, where County Supervisor Extian Gutierrez appointed him. On the Standing Up for Our Seniors Committee, Eric fought hard for better services for people who needed them most, especially our elderly residents here in San Jacinto who rely on IHSS. Eric's advocacy extends beyond seniors to include the LGBTQ+ and AAPI, Hispanics, and the tribal communities within San Jacinto, showcasing his commitment to ensuring all residents have access to essential services regardless of their background. That is awesome. I love that.
Oh my God, that covers all of the bases. I just want to make sure that I include, I'm going to fight for just all citizens, everybody, because everybody deserves a voice. Everybody deserves to be heard, and we deserve, everybody desires to live in a community that's right. So, yeah.
Yes, we are all about being inclusive, and we provide services for everyone. We don't like cutting anyone out. So when I saw your bio, Eric, it really touched my heart. So I was like, you know what? We really do need to make this podcast work.
Sure do.
Oh, I'm so glad. Because, not to sort of go down a rabbit hole, but, I guess it's kind of a cliche, and maybe not, as far as just inclusivity and making sure everybody's involved, but felt that way. I've been, here in the city of San Jacinto for just a couple of years. I bought my home in 2022. And just from an outsider, I wanted to get involved. And, I had to just make the necessary contact. I had to actually get out there, get involved. And I don't want it to be that complicated for someone else. I just put myself in that situation. I wanted to be, if somebody goes to their computer and then Google how to get involved in San Jacinto, California, I want something to pop up where they are directed to the website, and then they can reach out, start, whether it's email, but just to have that contact and say, I want to get involved, because it took a minute to get involved, because like I said, I was contacting some of the officials, and it wasn't getting any return emails or phone calls, and that's okay, But again, some people aren't that patient, and so I wanted to feel welcoming, because you can feel at some point like, well, maybe they don't want me to get involved, and so you don't want to get negative, but you have to be with it. But I want to make it easier for a community member. That's my goal.
I really can agree with that too, because Mike and I, I'll give you a little background too. Mike's been here in Paris since he was born, pretty much.
Almost 48 years.
Wow.
And so when we got married, we moved out to the high desert. So we were there for like 16, 17 years. I would say we came back here because Mike came back here. I'm an OC girl, Orange County girl. And so I can kind of reflect on what you were saying as a new person, coming into the community. How can we get involved? So, and I actually did the same thing like what you did. You Googled and said, how can we get involved with the community? And I saw a chamber and I was like, whoa, that's interesting. So that's kind of similar. You went into city and going into government agency and things like that. So that's an interesting way as a newcomer trying to get involved in the community. I like that you did that because I did the same thing.
Well, that's how, you know what, Phoebe, in Florida, my background, also, I had a career in entertainment and I was a professional makeup artist. So when I actually first came to the city, I actually reached out to the chamber. I got in contact with Kevin. And Kevin, because I was looking to join again and get involved, but I was going to do it like a business, right, from that perspective. And then because I didn't realize, okay, you can join as an individual. And so with the makeup background, and Kevin and I started speaking and had really good conversation. That's kind of how I got introduced into the chamber, to be honest with you. So, but again, that was a different route. So it wasn't so much of my sort of activist route. That was still my creative hat that, still wearing, being a lifelong, I would say makeup artist, because I actually love that, that field. But again, I've changed, I'm changing careers and moving in a different direction. After I had like a health care, then it was like, okay, let me just continue with my advocacy work, my community involvement. And that's why I'm here today.
It's funny that we talked about the chamber, the Hemet San Jacinto Chamber of Commerce. We love Kevin, love Cindy, Brian's awesome, all the staff there. So we haven't met yet in real life, in real person, but I think we're going to at one of the events. We love them. So it's cool that you started with the chamber there. Even as an individual, you can join. I'm not, putting a membership plug right now, but
no, I've actually joined now as an individual. So yeah, that I was talking about, and probably got confused. No, I was talking about when I first moved here 2 years ago. I was thinking, okay, well maybe I'll do the business, but no, now so I have it as an individual, and so yeah, but I didn't know that opportunity actually existed. To be honest with you, at the time, I did not.
Yeah. So now that you're going to be going into San Jacinto Council, you can join. I don't know if you can join as a council member, but there's other city people there that go to the events. So, and it's open. All the events are open to the public. So you can come as individual. You can come on behalf of being a candidate. That kind of gets the word out, and you can kind of network and stuff. So it's good either way. You can come and enjoy, have fun with us, get to network with people.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I was over there just last week and stopped by the San Jacinto Hemet Valley Chamber and talked to some of those guys that were in there, some of their workers. And I was kind of looking around and local businesses and pulling cards and seeing how I can, start building relationships. So yeah, thank you for that advice. That is so critical. I think when you're in the community, you have to be a community, and it's an important factor. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So let's bring it back to what we're really talking about you running for city council at San Jacinto. So what inspired you to run? So you told me a little bit about your background. We went into your bio a little bit, but I'd like to hear some details. What inspired you to run for San Jacinto City Council?
Right. So it comes from my deep commitment to public service, and my firsthand experiences with advocating, for, as you mentioned in my bio, CASA, for Voices for Children. And CASA, so the acronym is CASA, CASA, and as they call it, court-appointed special advocates. That work, oh my goodness. Right now, I am assigned to a child that's in foster care, and it has changed my life. And so just having that, knowing that folk are vulnerable, I should say vulnerable populations within the community, that's really inspired me. Also, being on the advisory council committee in Riverside County, that's where I reached out to Supervisor Gutierrez in District 5. Again, I'm new here trying to get my feet. It took me about a year they vetted me. So they take it very seriously. I did an application. I interviewed like a couple of times with his aide. And they were just helping me person, really wanted to know why I wanted to be involved in this experience. And then after about a year, then I was appointed to that position. And then also, I think this is my passion for ensuring that all residents, regardless of their background, as we talked a little bit about earlier, that they can access like the necessary services and support. I believe that that is important. And as a homeowner, I want to be engaged in the community, and that's really why I'm want to be involved in city council. That's what made me run. And then lastly, I would say, since I've been going to the meetings for the past 2 years, there was no community folks, and I mean, maybe 1 or 2 people besides myself. And I kept thinking, well, the community, it's got to be more involved. Maybe they don't know, and I didn't really see any invite at the time. I sort of, like I mentioned earlier, thought, I said, let me get involved. I want to get involved. How can I get involved? So I wanted, and that was one of my reasons, like I said, for wanting to run for office. I want to make sure that the community is aware, because you can go on Facebook, Nextdoor app, and folk are just ripping the city sometimes, or they have their comments and their concerns, really, and they need to be voiced and heard by the people that matter. And so that's what really inspired me to run. I want the community. I want to get to them so they can come in and be heard.
That's so touching that you talk about our vulnerable community, because they really do need to be addressed and heard and advocated for. So when I saw in your bio that you work with CASA, Court Appointed Special Advocate with Voices for Children, that immediately touched my heart, because obviously it's working with children, helping them and advocating for them, because as children in kind of vulnerable situations, they don't have a voice and they need adults to advocate for them. So that's very touching. I appreciate that, Eric.
Yeah.
Oh, that work is, oh, I'm sorry, Mike. That work is so important, because not only, so I'm building a relationship with my case child, but I'm also building relationships and creating resources with like social services, education, teachers, therapists, and I'm gathering, so it's kind of like we're investigating, so we are building relationships with those folks, and then ultimately, I think it's due like every 6 months, sometimes 3 months, I have to generate a report. And, I have to record all of my meetings and different, not record, like physically record, but just, take notes. And then I enter all that information in my report, and then I turn that over to the judge, and that helps them in making a decision. So it's just very critical. And even building this relationship with the kiddo is just very important when they are, maybe transitioning to a new home, have been bounced around, have been abused or not. Then I'm that person that's safe zone. And I tell you, before I started that work, I was like not scared, but I was thinking, oh, God, will this kid, will he be okay? And I hope, I don't know, I was a bit nervous about the situation, but also Voice for Children, they put me through a rigorous training. I mean, it was, oh my goodness, it was like 5 hours a day. It was, oh my goodness, I can't remember. It was a lot of training. And then you have to take exams. There were case studies. There was a lot of involvement. And they really take it seriously. You actually graduate, and they have a ceremony and everything. So anyway, I was kind of nervous, but it's just, I've just fallen in love with it. Every time I talk to my case child, I'm just, after we talk, I'm just happy. Sometimes I'm crying, and I'm just rooting for him, and he's just so excited to talk to me. So it really makes me feel good doing the work, even though I'm helping him. But it's really doing something to me, to be honest. And I didn't think that was going to be the case, and I'm so happy that I'm advocating for that young man.
That's good. And how long have you actually been doing that?
So I've been doing it for about 7 months now.
7
But
months.
actually, working as a CASA for 7 months, I've been involved with teens, youth, if you will, for many years. From even back within maybe 2010, I had a foundation, and we called it Beauty Within Teen Esteem. And I was partnered back then with Boys and Girls Club out in Carson. I even received a proclamation from the mayor. So I was putting together events and I'd like to sort of incorporate that here in San Jacinto, where I would put together a panel like in a local mall or even a library, and we would bring professionals in, we would bring the kids, and we would do the makeovers, but we'd also spend time with them reading, giving them supplies, resources. It was just a wonderful event. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to bring that to San Jacinto.
Very nice. And as you're running for San Jacinto council member, how do you plan to address the community's needs in San Jacinto?
Well, so with my academic background in public administration, I also have a background in law. I was pre-law in my undergraduate work. And so it's just spending that time in academia, I have the skills to analyze complex issues, and I do a lot of data-driven research right now, and I've done it. Then, in fact, I am on my executive board secretary for one of our student government associations. So I'm right now in the middle of putting together a hypothesis and for a survey for just bettering the community of women and women that are that need services on campus. So I'm tasked with sort of creating a survey for that, and then bringing in the results and talking about it, and possibly trying to implement some type of policy, like for childcare for adult graduate students. So we're working on that now. But also, I believe that by collaborating with community partners, people actually stakeholders, and it's so funny that I say that, because I'm actually a homeowner, so I'm a stakeholder, which is very important to me. So, and then, of course, develop innovative solutions that will promote, again, the equity and enhance the quality of life for, again, all residents. That's just my thing. I love advocating, and, I'm looking out for funding for essential services to create platforms in the community to voice, so the community can come out and voice their concerns or suggestions. Again, like I said earlier, getting them out to the meetings, to the council meetings, maybe starting something like town hall, maybe doing something on Zoom. And I plan to do this often. And if I'm elected, I definitely want to be able to can actually get a hold of me. We have meetings and come together, form committees, and whether it's volunteer, I don't know, I'm not there yet, but I want to get it's just so important, because again, a lot of my advocacy work is volunteer. And that's how you get involved, and you just be surprised at how many community members want to make a change. They just need some leadership and welcome, a hello, a safe place to feel that they can actually share their thoughts, their vision, and will not be judged, and it will benefit somebody else.
Very nice. And what about our homelessness and addressing the homeless population? And or do you plan on trying to help that population? And how would you go about doing that?
Sure. So now the city of San Jacinto, which I was unaware of, so they have what's called a HEART program, and a HEART project, I should say. And HEART is homeless at-risk population. And I hear a lot about, I hear a lot about, everyone hears a lot about homelessness, but I have put some questions since I've been running. I put some questions, survey questions, or poll questions, I should say, like on some of the social media. And the feedback I got was, my questions were like, what are some of the most concerning issues that you say, or the community say, or what would you like from the elected person to tackle or to address? And homelessness is always at the top of the list. And so we definitely will have to find, I believe, the root causes of homelessness. And unfortunately, when I'm walking my dogs, that's half, when I see them on the street, but again, we are all just a decision away from being homeless, And so I'm just always praying for that person. I know sometimes people think, well, you need more than prayer, but my prayer is generally, that they're safe for now until we can come up with a better plan. And then when we talk about root causes, people talk about like lack of affordable housing, mental health issues, substance abuse, and economic hardships. And then some people will say, well, they made the decision or they don't want help. And I kind of disagree with that. It just hits the right person, the right time, the right approach, and then continue, not pressure, but just a space for them to say, somebody cares, it's the right date, it's the right time. And a lot of them will have maybe, because I've done some volunteering for everyone where you do the homeless count. And a lot of folks, when I've talked to some of the homeless in the community, they talk about the lack of shelter solution here in this city, in San Jacinto. So I would like to work on expanding shelters, how maybe providing temporary housing and implementing some type of rapid or, just a quick rehousing program. I know there are supportive services out there, but I would like to implement job training. There was a person that speaks up all the time in some of the city council meetings here, and he talked about, he would work on run a volunteer campaign, and I have him on my list actually, and I would like to try to get them maybe job training, mental health counseling, addiction treatment, and again, these are probably solutions that have been offered, but it takes the right place at the right time. And people, you don't connect all the time, but if you just continue to resource, bringing the community involved, getting the community to come out and somehow get involved, I think that will make a difference. Also, I'll end it with the community partnerships. I think it's important that we negotiate with nonprofit organizations, local government. Like I said, I have relationships with my local assistant publicist, Corey Jackson. I've created that relationship. I've created the relationship with Supervisor District 5. So those are relationships I have already created. So it would take nothing for me to just go ahead and continue building with them. Maybe I've written proposals that I've presented to them. I have proposals here now. So my thing is research, proposals, legislation. I'm ready. But I'm here at the local level trying to get involved. There are solutions, but we still need people that want to continue the process, because it may take more time, but again, more time is necessary.
Absolutely. And how will you support the youth engagement in San Jacinto? So you talked about our homeless population. You talked about foster children, advocating for them. How do you support youth engagement?
Yes, so the youth engagement, I think, is very important. And I think we can provide more activities, maybe more cultural diversity, intergenerational engagement. I was a fellow for Caring Across Generations, and we did a capstone project with intergenerational. And I thought we came up with it. I was a group lead on this, where we would have and I don't believe they exist here in Riverside County, but it's almost like a center where you sort of, with the intergenerational, so older folks with younger folks, and you have activities, and you just create that bond and build that relationship there. I think it strengthens the community bond. It preserves local history. And also, I believe it needs to be done if necessary. But again, if folks aren't aware, if they don't see the options, maybe they hear about it, but if you don't actually see it, then you won't know about it, you won't do it. Another thing I think is important is mentorships. Now, I believe they do have certain mentorships, but I want mentorship to where everybody that's a youth that wants to get involved. I don't want to necessarily where you have to qualify, you have to maybe be a full-time student, or you have to be a college student. I want someone that's maybe at a community college or having started college, and they're at home caretaking for their family member, something like that, but they have an opportunity for a mentor. But to me, that's necessary. So again, I go back to the community engagement and leave nobody behind, engage with everybody and bring them together. So that's my solution.
Youth engagement is so important. Back when I was growing up, 20 plus years ago, it was just called, after school activities, after school, curriculum, whatever it is. And had I not participated in that, I would have been in trouble because, as I aged, I started to rebel and get a little a little rebellious, I would say. And but the morals that I grew up with still stuck with me, and it kept me out of trouble because you stay busy, you get mentoring from the older people, your peers, and you say, you know what, other people around me, they're doing good. I want to do good too, and whether it be in outdoor activities, sports, it could be like getting learning about other stuff that you don't know about, like makeup. I would have loved to learn about makeup. I know nothing about makeup. So had I had that kind of mentorship when I was younger, I could have gotten into it and learned more and find out, what, hey, I like doing this. I just learned about that, getting into that. So it's not only good for the child, the youth, but also the person who's doing the mentoring. It's rewarding both ways.
Absolutely. And you know what? Yeah, I can't agree with you more. And my brother, thinking about him now, actually telling that story. And years ago, he got involved with an after school program, and they were the ones that introduced my brother to college. And they brought him, I think it's been years, but a representative with him from the organization, and they talked to my mom and said, okay, we want him to go to college, and they helped him fill out all of the paperwork and the financial aid support and things like that. So and we are first generation college graduates. So again, the mentorship not only does something for the youth, the child, but just I think everybody involved, the community, because that person that becomes that stays out of trouble, that becomes just a thriving person, whether you're working, whether you don't necessarily have to go and graduate from school, but if you're doing something within the community, or if you're just at home taking care of your mother, but that or your parents or a family member or whatever, but that you exist in the community and you have morals and integrity, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, what was the name of that person that helped your brother out?
So that organization was actually it was the Boys and Girls Club. And this was in Oakland, California. So this was, this was years ago, but it was through the Boys and Girls Club. But again, that was an after school, back then they announced those programs, after school programs, or at risk, I think, or something like that. And they occupied his time. My brother wasn't he didn't get into trouble a lot, but he was, when you're young, you want to, after school, you want to someplace to go. And my mother was a single parent, but she was a working parent. And I don't think they called us latchkey kids, but we went home by ourselves. And so my brother was able to go and play sports and just did a lot of work with that organization. And it was just very beneficial. And like I said, they came home and introduced him and my mom to college. And obviously that rubbed off on me.
That's good.
That's an awesome story. I definitely grew up as a latchkey kid. So.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah. So now, how do you plan to support the aging population? So giving your background in the IHSS Advisory Committee, and, if you can tell us a little bit about that too, what they do there, and then how do you plan to support the aging population as well?
And how long you been doing that with IHSS?
Sure. So I have been with them. I was appointed about a year now, and it was a 2-year appointment. And again, so I was appointed by Supervisor Gutierrez. And basically, you have to either have been a caregiver or have received care. And so the Advisory Council, we make policy recommendations, and then we present it to the supervisor, to all supervisors. And then if it's something that they, will take into consideration, and then they will adopt it or what have you. The reason why I plan to advocate for seniors is because I'm getting older, we are getting older. And I thought about, and when I had my surgery, and I just thought about, goodness, if I age, and I may be in this situation, and I want the decent care, and I want someone to feel comfortable caring for me. But I also want to know that I can actually that service existed, because I didn't know that IHSS service existed. I really didn't at the time when I needed the service. And then also there was a little hesitation on my part because I was like, this is so uncomfortable because I'm thinking someone, coming into my home and not knowing me and different things like that. So I just think it's important to sort of have that seeker-friendly infrastructure where they are informed and through resources, whether it's through their work, through their social security, somehow you're receiving literature updates and information. So right now, currently, as a council, as an advisory committee member, I am tasked with a proposal where I'm working on underserved communities with LGBTQ plus, AAPI, and tribal communities. And we're trying to create a campaign to where we need to reach them more because I don't have the statistics in front of me, but that particular population, they are not receiving the services that, so for example, let's just say of that population, inclusive three, let's say 15,000 are available and 15,000 are not, or I'm sorry, 15,000 are available and maybe 10,000 or even 7,000 are taking advantage of the service. So we still need to reach the 5,000 people that are out there. So I'm putting together a plan now, a proposal to figure out how do we reach them? Do we reach them, the outreach through maybe the community engagement, that campaign, billboard. So I'm responsible now for putting that together. So I'm really excited about working on that. And I'm working closely with the day-to-day, who's actually the executive director of Public Authority. And so that's what concerns me. I believe that's how I'm going to support the aging population in that way. And then everybody needs that independent living. You don't necessarily want to leave your home. As we get older, they still don't want to think about it, but they have to. But again, you want to give folks that strength, that people that are vulnerable, that knowing that somebody's out there fighting for them and that these agencies actually exist. And then when you call up or you have a social worker or a provider or caregiver, that they are informed so they are not stressed out. Because again, like I said, I mentioned I was a fellow for Caring Across Generations, and that is a nonprofit that really it's all about caregiver support. And that was an amazing experience. But then caregiving, that whole work ethic is just sort of, kind of flies under the radar, but it's an important position. A lot of family members are caregivers and are not paid. So we talk about livable wages and different things like that. So all of that is taken into consideration. I know about because I'm involved in it, and I'm making decisions that will benefit aging population here in Riverside County, and I'm very proud of that.
That's awesome. And, talking about the aging population and doing the work that you do for the IHSS Advisory Committee, it really speaks to me because both Mike and I, we've done caregiving. I'll say caregiving, and Mike's an actual IHSS provider, but we both have taken care of both of our parents at different times in our lives. And because that's what we were brought up to do. Obviously we love our parents, and they took care of us. And then there's the time when we need to take care of our parents and even grandparents. I did that for my grandparents. And so when you speak about helping the aging population, it really encourages me because that is a very vulnerable population and that are underserved, and they're kind of shy, maybe because it's technology that they're not so familiar with. Now everything's on social media, Facebook, Instagram, everything, but they may not be too familiar with it. So that's how the news kind of gets out nowadays, I feel. Of course, there's still like the paper print newspaper and old school radio and stuff, but I think that maybe that kind of leaves them behind a little bit, which it makes me a little sad. And then what do we need to do? Okay, we need to go out there and actually go to like the senior centers, which we love, our senior centers. My grandma attended senior center for 15 years, probably in Diamond Bar, so we love supporting the senior centers. So it's getting out there, physically meeting them, and going to the events, doing community engagement events. So I'm glad that you speak about that because that's very important.
Yeah, it's kind of like a forgotten population.
Yeah. And there's a lot of networking to be had too. And I found being part of the Hemet San Jacinto Chamber, all that networking kind of brings it all together in one location. And you learn so much about nonprofits who are supporting our vulnerable population. So it's good that you're getting into the chambers there.
No, and I can't agree with you, both of you. It's so important. And, I talked to, because a couple of, well, I should say a couple of my community knows that I'm running for city council, so they will stop me on the street, right? And say, oh, listen, I want to add this to your, I want you to consider this for your campaign. So in talking about economic development and seniors, and they talk about small businesses, right? And so a lot of them are telling me, oh goodness, we need more restaurants, but we want restaurants where you can go in and sit down, and have a waiter or waitress and things like that. So, and you mentioned, of course, the relationship with the chamber. So all that is so important in our economic development. But I believe small businesses are so important, and they are the door to the economic development. And even though we have a lot of maybe multiple, maybe the same tax places, but I think they're important because that's what brings in the money, the tax, that's what brings in folk tourism to the city. I think I think it's very necessary to develop that. Job creation, I think is so important. I would like to sort of, and then, just maybe go out and talk to more businessmen, and that's probably what I will start doing as I sort of engage with the chamber, is to discuss strategies for attracting new businesses, new, industry folks within San Jacinto, but also bringing the businesses together more. Now, not trying to step on, and I can't step on any toes, but somehow to just create more business. There are, one of my neighbors was talking about, just, oh goodness, he was saying something, just again, the repeat of same businesses that are just on every corner. And I just believe that that's just so necessary. Infrastructure improvements are necessary. And then along with that, even though that's transportation, I know there are some areas where the lights are not working. So that, and if you can't attract businesses, if, it's really not safe, and so public safety is important. As I mentioned, tourism, when you're promoting local businesses, this is, I guess it's considered as a drive-by city or whatever, but bring in folks, you come right off the freeway, right off the highway, you can drive in, have a bite to eat, maybe take some photos, maybe go down to the mansion, and then get back on your way, whether it's going to Orange County or another direction. So all of that is important. I think workforce development, I think, is important as well. Developing programs that we talked about just for residents, period. Demand jobs, attract businesses, just getting people involved to know that this city, because to be honest with you, when I came here, when I first moved here, I didn't realize that standing until him, and I'd like to also have a better working relationship with him because we're so close. And I was more so thinking Riverside County and not so much San Jacinto. And I want to change that to where people recognize, yes, this is the county, but also this is the city, and there's enough to do here. And when let's say, for example, when we're educating our students or people are working, that they're making enough. There's enough money that they're making where they are buying their homes here, and then they're also staying here. They're not maybe graduating, from school or get a better job and then move out. No. What really brought me to San Jacinto was affordable housing. I was able to afford my house, and some folks, when you mention affordable housing, they're like, and they instantly think of, I don't know, because, I don't know if they could do something negative, but no, affordable housing is affordable housing. Now, maybe some folks can see it another way, but again, I was able to afford my first home here in San Jacinto. And prior to that, I didn't know anything about San Jacinto, but it was affordable. I love my home. I love the community. I love my neighbors. It's just been wonderful since I've been here. So I'm excited to be on this journey, to be on this board, hopefully get elected. I'm looking for volunteers to help with my campaign. And if, people are out there and if you're interested in helping me and you believe in some of the things that I'm saying, or if you have some ideas to bring to the table, join my campaign, go to my website, and let's knock on doors together, because again, I will not desert you. I can get a lot done, I believe, as an elected official, because I have ideas. I'm not trying to be the person that okay, well, I want to be on the council because I want to be on the council. I want to be, and I sort of answered this question earlier, but I think it's that you have to have some backing behind you. And being an elected official will get me in the door. Well, actually, I could get to the books. Being an elected official will get me through the door, because I have so many ideas. I know how to research, so I need the resources and things are there. I know how to navigate, but I just need that position behind me to come with it. And I'm in the community with you, because I want to make sure that I have a committee, whether it's, I don't know if it will be a city committee or if they're paid or unpaid, but that's what I'm doing. And we are going to our government, our assembly people, and we're taking our ideas. We also, I want to bring, just the more businesses here, but money, funding. There's a person that shows up. I've watched her. She's a citizen that lives in San Jacinto. She runs a nonprofit, and I've watched her attend several council meetings. I've also seen her at a couple of the town hall with, some of our other officials. And she's saying the same thing. She has an organization, but she needs funding, she needs help. She's running, she's helping homeless folk. And then, of course, the council, when you're in the meeting, they cannot, sort of talk or answer the question, if you will. I guess they can't get into a back and forth dialogue. But I want to tell that person, listen, yes, we can get that done. That funding, so by me having a relationship with, and when I'm talking, having a relationship with Gutierrez, that the money that was just implemented and divided up, I think was handed down from Governor Newsom, and then I believe him would receive some of that funding. Again, funding like that they should have had representatives from the city council out there to bring some of that money into the residents and the census. That's a missed opportunity. Things like that I know about, I'm concerned about. It's there, the resources are there, because this person, I'm telling you, she's always, it's in this meeting, she's like practically and begging, and nothing has been done about it. And that's really unfortunate. And I think now they're starting to address it. And so, again, and I'm not trying to bag on council people at all. No, because everybody feels that they probably have done enough. So now I believe it's time for a change. It's time to sort of keep, as my slogan is, to keep the progress moving. So what they've done is okay, but we need somebody to have, with my public administration background, my legislation involvement, my advocacy, I know how to make things happen. I know how to get things done for our city, and I can't wait to get it done. So please, if you're out there and you hear me, come join my campaign and vote for me on November 5th. And I know they have early voting that starts. Get involved. And if not for me, but still get involved in the process, because you can't complain. Well, you guess you can't complain, but you shouldn't complain if you don't get involved. And trust me, every vote counts. And if you get involved, make people hear your at least you want to hear. I'm a person that will hear your cries, your pleas, but there's a process to it, And again, I'm that person that will listen to my the folk in the community, and we will not have to be the big change, but we just want involvement, and we want some of those monies to come in and benefit the entire community, and have our community safe, have our our police come out and protect our citizens more. That type of involvement, I'm all about that.
Oh, that's good. And do you know the population of San Jacinto?
When you want to, what do you mean by the population? Like the count wise of 55,000, I think maybe up to over 55,000 citizens, maybe up to 68,000. Or you mean not the demographics, the population?
Just the
Or the
population
breakdown?
of the actual city itself, yes.
I believe it's 50, 55. Now, in my work, since I've been on the campaign, I believe, yeah, and people are involved with, because in 2020, there were 22,000 votes cast for the council. So the population is here and they are involved, they are listening. So, yeah, it's important. So I'm glad you even mentioned the population count. And I've been out there, and I just think it's important for candidates to know the population, the demographic, who we're speaking to, and what type, what plan we plan on implementing.
Yeah, we're definitely big supporters about getting involved in the community, the civic engagement, which we're very big supporters about. That's why we like having this Meet the Candidate series. A lot of the city, the chambers, I see they're doing the Meet the Candidate series, meeting, physically meeting them, which is very encouraging, giving everyone that proper format and platform to speak about what is important to them. So I'm going to ask you, the last question that we have is, what is your vision for the future of San Jacinto? The current San Jacinto Council, they've built an awesome foundation for the residents and businesses there in San Jacinto. But what is your vision for that?
Sure. So, like I keep saying, I want all residents' voices to be heard. I mean, that's really my top priorities. And I do plan to create platforms for open dialogue. That's really important for me. Just to have that. I do believe that is very, very important. I think also, what's very important to add to your question is the responsibility, I think, of really for a councilman and how they sort of engage with their fellow councilmen. That is so important, because if you don't have that knowledge and if you can't get through that, then you pretty much will not get anything done. You will be at a stalemate. So I think it's very important for transparency and accountability, and that's definitely what I will bring. That is the fundamental of building trust with the community, and ensuring transparency and making sure that the public, that they're involved with the decision making. They know about the initiatives and then the progress of what's happening. The upkeep of it, and that they don't have to guess. I think that is also important, but also, I'm going to hold myself accountable, for being accessible to residents. I'm doing that now. I'm listening to their concerns, and that's my commitment, if I'm promoting equity and inclusion. And I'll say that with the community, because even with how this is going on lately and it's in the media here, with cannabis and some of those businesses, and kind of torn. You can see both sides, because you'll have folks talking about, well, they're so close to the school, but also, they pay upwards of $4 billion in taxes. So there has to be a workaround, and I can understand both tactics. But again, there should be, at this point, I don't know why the council has waited for 3 years, because even when I talked to those individuals, they were saying this was an issue a couple years ago, and you shouldn't have to wait for like an election year for this to happen. But it's happening. But it can be handled with adults in the room talking to get things done that's going to benefit the city just in its entirety. So I'm just really about that. It's formulating relationship, partnership, making myself available, being committed, but also spending the time. Because I don't want to be that person that just shows up. And I've watched that, where you show up and then they're before the committee or the council, before they're going to put in like a vote on something, and then maybe there's a presentation, and the presentation is just very, very crucial, critical, and important. And they made all these great points, and then when they go around and they ask, well, are there any questions? And of course, the community, we can't say anything at that point. And I'm thinking, boy, you haven't done your homework. You gotta have questions. Somebody, even if somebody in this audience has questions, they have reached out to you. So I think you have to not just show up for the meetings, but you have to show up for the community. And that's what I plan to do. I have the time to do it. And I'm going to make sure that that's part of my commitment is to actually be there, to be involved, to engage deeply and set meetings and to continue with my advocacy and to help, to ensure long-term prosperity for our communities. That's all that is important. Yeah.
That is awesome. And everything that you spoke about, all the points that you talked about, Eric, are very relevant. So I'm glad that you're speaking about them. And I'm glad that you have a good plan for addressing those kind of important needs. Was there anything, any last words that you wanted to speak about? Let our listeners know before we go to the ending there.
Yes, I want the listeners to know that you have people that are interested in fighting for you. And not just myself, there are 8 other candidates, but are 3 incumbents. So everybody in their own way are doing the best they can to fight for this, and I'm right along with them. And but I believe my difference is that I'm new. I have a policy background. I believe I'm a good negotiator, and like I say, I can get in the room and form these relationships. I've already, have some relationships and created important partnerships. And I think all of that is so important. But again, you, the voter, the listener, I think it's important for you to stay involved, stay engaged, as a lot of you are, because I see it all over social media. And I'm just so happy that I have the time to talk a little bit about what I have to say and tell you a little bit about me. But I'm usually at the city council meeting on, I think every second Tuesday, and I run with the day at the city council meeting. And also there's a forum, Phoebe, you mentioned, there's a city council candidate forum that's put on, but it's being sponsored by the chamber, and that's going to be September 18th. Come out there and take a listen to all the candidates. Also, my website, on my social media, I am hosting you can find information. I have issues on my website. Meet Eric, so a lot of talking about my campaign and my background, and then also issues that are important to me and that I plan to implement. And and I just want to end it with that, and I'm just so happy to be here. And I'll just say just a little sidebar. I love what you guys are doing for the community as well, Mike and Phoebe, because when I started, going back to my makeup room, years ago when I moved to Southern California, I started out doing independent film. That's how I got my break, from just independent film, student film, and nobody was watching, paying attention, I should say, but I gained so much experience. I gained so much exposure, which led me to something else, another, so it kept me working for the past 18 years. So just just providing this platform to locals or to folks in the industry, and I consider it all artists, that it's just an important thing, because you just don't know, and you probably do know, how you just can give somebody a life, a career, because it's certainly opened the door for me and gave me a career. I'm on my second career turn, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I appreciate what you're doing for the community as well.
Oh, Eric,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We love supporting our independent community, whether it's the musicians, artists, the local business people here, everyone here in our local IE. We love supporting the community, and we appreciate giving that kind of platform, because I consider ourselves like alternative media, but not like, we're not pirated radio, anything like that, but we're online. But we also have the ability to navigate the conversation. So we like keeping everything open and positive, staying away from negative news, and just bringing the positivity from the IE, because we need that nowadays. We need people to know that there's good stuff coming out of here too, so that's what we like to hear. So that's why when you contacted us, I was like, oh man, this is a perfect opportunity. Let's do it. So I'm glad you're here talking to us, telling us about what your issues are important to you. And this is Eric Anthony Devezin. He is a candidate for San Jacinto City Council. Check his website online, vote for, and it's the number 4, Devezin, DEVEZIN.com. You can also email him at info@vote4Devezin, and that's the number 4. And I'm going to give your Instagram too. I hope that's okay. People start contacting on Instagram.
Yes, thank you.
Find him on Instagram. That's Eric Anthony Devezin, 4 City Council, and it's the number 4 City Council. So check him out. Get out there and vote. Learn about your local city government, your local government candidates, who's going to be running. Check them out, and definitely attend the September 18th event. I put that in my little notes there. So we're going to make sure to get this podcast out before September 18th. So we're going to post that on social media. Definitely check that out. Speak your mind, get involved, and vote in November. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you, both.
Thanks for listening to the Mike and Phebe Show on Alternative Twist Radio. If you missed any past episodes, just search the Mike and Phebe Show or Alternative Twist Radio on any major podcast app.